welcome guys to another episode of the Evo Gem podcast. I'm here with Maisie and Colby, and without further ado, let's dive into today's topic.
Yep. Today we're talking about why most opportunities keep you stuck, which probably the first people hearing that is like, wait, what? Why do opportunities keep us stuck? But I feel like we can kick it off with why beginners kind of chase excitement instead of alignment, which is where we're kind of going with that topic. But yeah, who wants to kick it off?
For me, I do a lot of deals, so a lot of people that are in my position and what I do, when they get a deal done and they make a good chunk of money on that one deal, sometimes that opportunity that they completed, it can lead to more opportunities, but they stay complacent with doing that one deal, and then they just set the rest of the year as kind of like a relaxing, period, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of stunts your growth and what you could be doing to scale on top of that. But some people, they're like, oh, I made X amount this month, I should just chill out now.
Well, yeah, because with real estate in the industry that you're in, people can be making anywhere from like 5K to 100K on a single deal.
On a single deal.
And so I can see what you're saying, like that kind of slows them down. It's like, oh, I don't need to push myself farther because I did this one deal.
Yes.
And so I can see that.
Yeah, like this covers for all my bills, what I need to do for this year, so I'm chilling now. But that's not the idea. The idea is to accelerate. Because if you're doing that, you're just meant to be self-employed, which means you still got that golden handcuffs. It's kind of like you're still working, you're still operating it all by yourself, and not willing to, automate and, I guess be more efficient and scale that business from there on.
Well, also, like, yeah, you could do this big deal and make a big commission this year, but what are you going to do going into next year?
Yeah.
Like, what if there's no deals before then because you're not looking at them, and then you're looking for deals next year and nothing that actually pans out the way that you want them to?
Exactly. And people stay comfortable in that zone. They like to stay in the comfort zone. Once they do one deal, they're like, oh, I already did the deal. I know proof of concept. Now I could chill out a little bit. I can ease. But like the first deal should be like the first deal of many, right, for that year. That's how it should be. But yeah, a lot of people like to lay back from what I've seen in my industry. So.
Yeah, one strategy that I really like to kind of like combat that, and just in any industry, not just real estate, is doing 90-day sprints rather than looking at it like New Year's hits and then you have a whole year ahead of you.
Yeah.
Once you shorten that timeline, people are doing so many crazy things in like each quarter because they have a shorter timeline and they treat each new quarter as a new year and are able to hit those goals. I really like the book, The 12-Week Year. I can't remember the author's name, but go check it out if that's something that speaks to you. But
yeah, for sure. I would agree with both of those things. I mean, the when you get into something and that first success, it feels great. It's awesome. But like you said, it can easily like make you ease off when like you need, this is where I think competition is so important. And this is when I think it's so important to be in rooms with other people doing better than you, because if you feel like you're doing great and then you like are not in a room where there's a bunch of people doing better than you, there is no motivation to go and push yourself. And that's where like when you get in the wrong community and you're the biggest person in the room, it just gets super like unmotivating, and you just kind of taper off instead of continuing down that same road that you were on and then learning and doing like you got to look back on that opportunity and say, okay, that was great, but how can I do it better?
Right.
And then reinvent it every time you do it until it's like every single time, like until you're like collapsing time and you're doing these like deals like crazy, right?
Yeah.
In your example,
Right.
I mean, and just apply that all across the board. Like, how can you always be improving and reinventing the wheel?
Yeah.
Also throwing this in there because we just batch recorded the previous episode with Savannah where we talked about competition and not making things a competition. So like what Colby said may kind of contradict what we were talking about in the episode, but I do agree, like there's a healthy level of competition, and then there's pure scarcity and being like wanting to be the best and not wanting to share your opportunities with anyone else. Like there's a line that you have to follow so that you're still staying motivated. Because I've been in so many communities that it's like the people around me aren't actually winning, and it's like you stay stuck where you're at because no one else is moving forward, so you don't
Right.
really have a reason to want to hold yourself accountable.
Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, another thing too is that a lot of opportunities that I present to people, because the way I structure it, on a lot of cases is that they bring me a source of a lead generation, to give you guys an example. And if they brought me that lead generation and I do a deal with that lead source, then I would write them a check. But they think that's too good to be true. And that's one thing too, is that like when they pass up on an opportunity, is that like, number one, yes, it's going to require some work, but sometimes there are some opportunities out there where it might look too good to be true, but you have to do your due diligence and make sure that it's, legit. But there are opportunities that people pass up on that are just too good to be true and that are real, right? And that's another thing that can be costly with opportunities that people face from time to time.
Yeah, my mom always said that when I was younger, like if it's too good to be true, or if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom, if you're listening, but you used to tell me that all the time. But yeah, you just have to, again, do your research and make sure this is a credible opportunity, because just because you've never been shown something like this before doesn't mean it's impossible. Like,
Yeah.
if someone else has done it, it means it's not impossible.
Yeah, and that shows lack of intelligence, like to think that this is too good to be true, therefore it's not real or it's a scam or whatever. I think that's very, the word is ignorant, right? To think that way.
Yeah, the ignorance or the arrogance.
Yeah, the arrogance as well. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of the way, at least in my industry, what I've seen with opportunity costs and how people pass up on those opportunities rather than take advantage of it. So.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then there's like the other side of the coin, like taking on too many opportunities
Right.
and becoming a problem, because that's what can keep you stuck as well, is like just taking on too many things at once that you can't actually pursue.
Yeah.
And then what happens? You just stay in the same spot because you don't know what direction to go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that we were just like barely talking about shiny object syndrome, and I feel like
Yeah.
that like leads.
It does, yeah. I mean, there's two sides to what I would like opportunity cost. There's two sides to opportunity cost. On one side, whatever opportunity you take, the cost of that opportunity is every other opportunity out there. Right? The other side of it is the opportunity that you don't take. I mean, you that whole like that opportunity in and of itself is the cost of you not taking the opportunity. So, I mean, you have to choose which opportunities, and you have to be picky about them. And then if you choose too many, like you're not gonna you're gonna be mediocre at a few different things, or you're gonna be terrible at several things. And that's just the fact of it.
Yeah, for sure. One thing too that I would say about having too many opportunities is that creates a lot of emotion.
Mhm.
And when you have so many things and your emotion is tied to all of these different opportunities and routes you can take, it stunts your growth, right? It stunts where you would want to be in the end. Find something that suits you, because every opportunity is a personality trait for people, and find that personality trait that suits you for your character, and pursue that. It takes a lot of time, but then at the same time, it's going to be worth it if you were to just stay consistent with that one opportunity that you really want to get good at, right?
And
So,
that's not to say like you can never take those opportunities. I mean, some opportunities and some things that come across your path, like they're going to be like a one time, like you can only do this at this point. But also there's a lot of opportunities that aren't that way. So like once you get selective, it's not to say that you never can take on these opportunities. Like for me, when I first started in entrepreneurship, I started with my ads agency, I started with real estate, and I started getting into so many different rooms and so many different things that I didn't really have a direction I was going in. I was kind of just sitting there like, okay, what do I do next? And not really
Right.
seeing very many results because I'm trying to do so many different things. So when I finally took it back and stayed intentional about where I want to go and what I want to do, I've been able to kick some of that off my plate for now, but it's not that I'm never going to go back to it.
Right.
Like the real estate community that I was in, I'm still in. I haven't been to an event in a while because I'm solely focused on the direction I'm going with my current business model.
Very true.
But in 6 to 8 months down the line, once everything is where I want it to be, everything's automated, like I'm at a different place in my business where I'm not just working on scaling, and then I can slowly bring that back in
Right.
and start going to more events and being more involved in real estate investing again.
Yeah, you're adjusting to what you need to do first as a priority. So yeah, and another thing too is that the lack of knowledge as well leads to missing out on those opportunities, like I said already before. And that has to tie up with a lot with investing. You know, like if a stock were to go down 50%, does that make it a bad company? Not necessarily. It could be the narrative, you know, behind it. So, but the thing is that the narrative can be convincing. That can lead to emotion, hence leading yourself, you know, clicking on the sell button or, you know, not wanting to buy it. But that opportunity of it dropping 50% of its value can be an opportunity, right? You just have to, like I said, do your research, do your due diligence before getting into it, because it could be good to be too good to be true at the end of the day. So.
And yeah, I don't know too much about stocks, but from what I have heard, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But like at any time, depending on an event that happens in any sort of business, they could all drop, or like it's not guaranteed that it's going to be the same forever, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's always going to fluctuate, but you just have to look at the fundamentals of the business and say, wait, this company is still growing. Like, despite the narrative, it's still growing. I could give you a great example, like Adobe, for an example. There's a lot of scares from investors that AI is going to take over, you know, softwares, you know, SaaS businesses. But the thing is that you can argue that, okay, well, you know, those SaaS businesses can implement AI, you know, like Intuit can implement things from Anthropic. I think they're doing that.
You can have AI agents in QuickBooks now. I've been seeing commercials about it.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not gonna be extinct, these software businesses. They're only going to evolve to what's new now, and that's AI, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of like my bull case theory behind something like Adobe. But don't buy a stock just because, you know, I'm buying it or anyone else is buying it, even if it's a, you know, super investor like Warren Buffett. Do your own research, guys. Do your own due diligence, please. That's all I ask.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's just to give you guys an example of an opportunity.
For sure.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean, in the end of the day, it comes down to what are you focusing on? What are you growing? If you're not sticking to something, select something, stick to it for 90 days. If you don't like it after 90 days, okay, find another opportunity.
That's a good trial period.
Exactly. That is a very healthy trial period, and that gives you enough time to figure out everything you love about it and everything you hate about it. If you stick to that formula, you will find something that you love after a certain amount of time. I don't know how many iterations it's going to take you. And then, I mean, just keep going deeper and deeper on that thing. Like, literally, it takes getting gritty and sticking to one thing in order to have success. And I can tell you, you can make money. I said this to so many people. You can make money in anything, any way you want to. It just takes a discipline to actually stick to something and not change, like, literally every, like, month or 2 months or 3 months. Like, you just have to stick to something.
Yeah.
That's as simple as it is.
And
Colby, tell me about kind of like your trials and errors that you've had with your marketing stuff. I know you started when you were what, 15?
yeah,
Well, I started an e-commerce business.
Oh,
I did
okay.
drop shipping, and that tanked fast, and it sucked. I mean, I had to sell here and there, but like, I mean, I was just following the train that every other like high school kid was like, yeah, drop shipping. And, you know, you saw all these kids and influencers with Lamborghinis and crap, and you're like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I didn't stick to it long enough. I was constantly changing what products were out there. I was constantly changing the website, the name, how it sounded, like everything. The ads, I couldn't leave anything alone. And I was like, now I beat myself over the head being like, man, I was real stupid. But in the end, I learned a ton about that. Like, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't have learned. And early on, I mean, if you're in high school, yeah, do a million different things. Try and stick to something for 90 days, but seriously, like, explore. Just have fun. Like there's no reason to be chasing like the biggest opportunity like right now. Give yourself some legroom, give yourself some experience first. If you don't get that experience, even if it's the right opportunity, you could massively flunk it.
Or you can not even have that be able to be a possibility for you because you can't go from A to Z. You have to take the
Exactly.
steps in between. That's something I feel like I've been learning too. Most recently, I feel like there's so many lessons through my entrepreneurship journey that I learned a long time ago. And it's like, okay, I've conquered that. I can recognize it. But there's still so many patterns that I'm recognizing now. And one of them was that, and like, I have a master class that I've been sending out to people, and I didn't get very many numbers on it of actual people that have watched it, but I was like, it's not converting. Like reaching out to my mentor, I'm like, what should I do different? What should I change? And she's like, okay, hold on. We haven't even had that many people watch it. Like I don't think it's a fact that it's not converting. I think it's a lack of data. So
Right.
we'll have a couple more people go through it. And then literally I was like praying that night and stuff like, just please bless that I'm on the right path and like that this is actually something that works. And the next day I had 2 people like take the next step from it. And so I was like, okay, I know this is gonna work. I just have to stick with it. But if I had also have good mentors, because if I had just not listened to her or I had not reached out to her and told her that, I would have gone and changed it. And then who knows what would have happened.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Being sticky with what you want to do, and saying that you are going to do this, and get very consistent and persistent with it, will take you places where you think it wouldn't it would take you. So like what I'm saying is that like there's things that I've done so far where I was like, if I told myself that 2-3 years ago, I'd be like, whoa, really? Like I really did that, you know? But that's because I trusted myself in the process of that, of that opportunity, of that change. And we're changing throughout the way too, right? We're always learning and we're always shifting our perspectives about certain things as well.
Yep.
In the field of business.
For sure. All right, well, Colby's got to hop off in a couple minutes, but I really quick want to hear if you guys have any red flags that people kind of ignore when they're like desperate to make money or desperate to get their foot in the door, and there's just things that are obviously red flags, but they don't see them at the time.
Yeah. One thing I can say is motivation and not discipline. Motivation is that like quick spark where people go at it for like the first week or 2 weeks, and then it just dies because they thought they would see it quickly, right? Because they put in all this energy and effort and they felt good about it within those two weeks or week time frame. But yeah, that's kind of one thing, and the biggest thing is patience, right? When you start a company or when you start a business, like patience will be the virtue of all things in success. There will be times where you'll start a business and you see no money come in for 5 years.
Yeah.
Or 4 years.
Yep.
Or it's just like flat lines. But if you stay consistent and you're always thinking about growth and scaling, eventually something is going to hit and crack. And then from there, you're going to see the fruits of your labor from there.
Yeah.
So
I think one thing too, like you kind of brought it up earlier, was like due diligence, do your due diligence. I think a red flag that people bring on themselves is a lack of research and a lack of due diligence and figuring out whether this opportunity is actually going to be good for them in the long run. Like if it's an opportunity that someone else is presenting to you, like do research on their company. If it's a good company, there is still always going to be bad reviews, so don't let that completely tank your decision. But like, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like there's always going to be bad reviews for good companies, so just keep that in mind. But make sure you're doing your research farther, because like if they have like 10,000 good reviews and 10 bad reviews, like they can't please everyone. It's probably not their fault. But I know from experience, any opportunity that I've just jumped on, well, not any opportunity. I'm a very yes person. You put an opportunity in front of me, I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. Like, let's do it.
yeah.
But if like I still need to take a step back and be like, okay, is this person like trustworthy? Is this like a good thing for me to get into? Because if not, you can get burned really quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The one red flag I would say is fear of failure. That's one thing I think, like, you're gonna fail, period. You have to fail, period. Like, don't be afraid to fail. Failure is part of the process. It is the process. Fail fast, fail faster. That's a quote I'll always remember, because like the more you fail, the more you're gonna learn, and the faster you're gonna learn that thing.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna collapse time when you fail. So
Okay.
For sure. Okay, I can kind of
Yes.
bounce off
Yeah.
of what Colby was saying. With failure, don't have too much of a devil's advocate mindset. It's okay to have a devil's advocate mindset towards certain things, but at the end of the day, don't make it to where you're pessimistic, right? There's a line behind that, where it's like, yes, you're trying to poke holes, but poking too much holes is eventually going to like lead to more drainage and lead to more of a giving up or burning out mindset, in my opinion.
For sure.
So, do we have anything else that we can
I think that's it.
have and talk about? Well, guys, maybe Maisie will have the quote that she had in mind for another episode, but in the meantime, stay tuned for any upcoming events, guys. Super, glad you guys came to listen throughout. You guys are going down the right path, listening to us. And anything else that you guys have to say? Or
no. Yeah.
All right, guys, stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you.